Which 20th century composer is known for pioneering minimalist music with works like Different Trains and Electric Counterpoint? Philip Glass. Steve Reich. John Cage. Correct answer. Steve Reich. Which branch of physics deals primarily with the behavior of very small particles at the atomic and subatomic level? Classical mechanics. Quantum mechanics. Thermodynamics. Correct answer. Quantum mechanics. Which country won the first FIFA World Cup held in 1930? Uruguay. Brazil. Italy. Correct answer. Uruguay. Which of the following is an example of a gerund? Quick. Running. Run. Correct answer. Running. What programming language is primarily used for developing iOS applications? Kotlin. Swift. JavaScript. Correct answer. Swift. Which elementary particle is known as the carrier of the electromagnetic force? Electron. Photon. Neutrino. Correct answer. Photon. Which treaty ended the 30 Years' War in 1648 and marked a turning point in European diplomacy? Treaty of Versailles. Treaty of Utrecht. Peace of Westphalia. Correct answer. Peace of Westphalia. Which country is home to the highest number of active volcanoes in the world? Japan. Indonesia. Chile. Correct answer. Indonesia. Which Russian author wrote the philosophical novel The Brothers Karamazov? Leo Tolstoy. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Anton Chekhov. Correct answer. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Which 20th century Spanish artist co-founded the Cubist movement and created Les Demoiselles d'Avignon? Salvador Dali. Joan Miró. Pablo Picasso. Correct answer. Pablo Picasso. Which composer is known for his groundbreaking 433 piece, consisting of silence? John Cage. Arnold Schoenberg. Philip Glass. Correct answer. John Cage. Which mathematician is credited with the invention of calculus, independently of Isaac Newton? Carl Friedrich Gauss. Leonhard Euler. Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. Correct answer. Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. Which filmmaker directed the postmodern film Synecdoche, New York and is also known for writing being John Malkovich? Wes Anderson. Spike Jonze. Charlie Kaufman. Correct answer. Charlie Kaufman. Which female tennis player has won the most Grand Slam singles titles in the Open era? Steffi Graf. Martina Navratilova. Serena Williams. Correct answer. Serena Williams. Which scientific theory suggests that the universe began from an extremely dense and hot state? String theory. Steady state theory. Big Bang theory. Correct answer. Big Bang theory. Who was the founder of the Achaemenid Empire, also known as the First Persian Empire? Xerxes I. Darius the Great. Cyrus the Great. Correct answer. Cyrus the Great. Which river forms part of the border between the United States and Mexico? Mississippi River. Colorado River. Rio Grande. Correct answer. Rio Grande. Which American author wrote the novel Beloved, which won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 1988? Maya Angelou. Toni Morrison. Alice Walker. Correct answer. Toni Morrison. Which painting technique involves applying pigment onto freshly laid lime plaster, often used in Renaissance murals? Tempera. Fresco. Impasto. Correct answer. Fresco. What is the name of the theoretical boundary around a black hole, beyond which nothing can escape? Singularity. Event horizon. Schwarzschild radius. Correct answer. Event horizon. Which Japanese director is known for pioneering cinematic techniques and for films like Rashomon and Seven Samurai? Hayao Miyazaki. Akira Kurosawa. Yasujiro Ozu. Correct answer. Akira Kurosawa. Which football club has won the most UEFA Champions League titles as of 2024? FC Bayern Munich. AC Milan. Real Madrid. Correct answer. Real Madrid. Which language family includes both Hindi and English? Dravidian. Indo-European. Afro-Asiatic. Correct answer. Indo-European. Which early programming language, developed in the 1950s, was primarily designed for business data processing? COBOL. Fortran. Lisp. Correct answer. COBOL. Which ancient civilization is credited with developing one of the first known systems of writing, known as cuneiform? Babylonians. Sumerians. Assyrians. Correct answer. Sumerians. Which Irish author wrote the modernist novel Ulysses, known for its stream of consciousness style and allusions to Homer? Samuel Beckett. James Joyce. W.B. Yeats. Correct answer. James Joyce. Which Dutch artist is known for mathematically inspired artworks such as Relativity and Drawing Hands? Hieronymus Bosch. M.C. Escher. Piet Mondrian. Correct answer. M.C. Escher. Which Baroque composer is known for composing over 200 cantatas and works like the Brandenburg Concertos? Johann Sebastian Bach. George Friedrich Handel. Antonio Vivaldi. Correct answer. Johann Sebastian Bach. Which scientist first proposed the heliocentric model of the solar system in the Renaissance period? Galileo Galilei. Isaac Newton. Nicholas Copernicus. Correct answer. Nicholas Copernicus. What is the name of the branch of mathematics that studies the properties of space that are preserved under continuous transformations? Topology. Geometry. Algebra. Correct answer. Topology. Which director is known for pioneering Italian neorealism with the 1948 film Bicycle Thieves? Federico Fellini. Vittorio De Sica. Roberto Rossellini. Correct answer. Vittorio De Sica. Which country has won the most Rugby World Cup titles as of 2024? England. South Africa. New Zealand. Correct answer. South Africa. What is the term for a word that imitates the natural sound of a thing, like buzz or sizzle? Alliteration. Onomatopoeia. Metaphor. Correct answer. Onomatopoeia. Which cryptographic method is widely used to ensure secure data transmission over the Internet, relying on a pair of keys, public and private? Symmetric encryption. RSA encryption. Hash functions. Correct answer. RSA encryption. Which chemical element is the only one named after a real person who was alive at the time of naming? Fermium. Copernicium. Seaborgium. Correct answer. Seaborgium. Which city was the capital of the Eastern Roman, Byzantine, Empire for over a millennium? Rome. Constantinople. Alexandria. Correct answer. Constantinople. Which African lake is the world's second largest freshwater lake by surface area and is a key part of the Nile River system? Lake Tanganyika. Lake Malawi. Lake Victoria. Correct answer. Lake Victoria. Which art movement is characterized by an emphasis on spontaneous, automatic, or subconscious creation, and was strongly influenced by Sigmund Freud's theories? Cubism. Surrealism. Futurism. Correct answer. Surrealism. Which branch of biology studies the interactions between organisms and their environments? Anatomy. Ecology. Genetics. Correct answer. Ecology. Which city hosted the first modern Olympic Games in 1896? Paris. Athens. London. Correct answer. Athens. Which operating system was originally developed at Bell Labs in the 1970s and has influenced many modern systems like Linux and macOS? MS-DOS. Unix. CP/M. Correct answer. Unix. Which planet in our solar system has a day, rotation period, that is longer than its year, revolution period? Venus. Mars. Mercury. Correct answer. Venus. Which treaty ended the Napoleonic Wars and reshaped the political map of Europe in 1815? Treaty of Tilsit. Treaty of Paris. Congress of Vienna. Correct answer. Congress of Vienna. Which mountain range forms a natural border between Europe and Asia? Carpathians. Urals. Caucasus. Correct answer. Urals. Which novel by Gabriel Garcia Marquez is considered a landmark of magical realism and tells the story of the Buendia family? The Autumn of the Patriarch. 100 Years of Solitude. Love in the Time of Cholera. Correct answer. 100 Years of Solitude. Which scientist is credited with formulating the laws of planetary motion, describing elliptical orbits? Galileo Galilei. Isaac Newton. Johannes Kepler. Correct answer. Johannes Kepler. Which country has hosted the FIFA World Cup the most times, as of 2024? France. Italy. Mexico. Correct answer. Mexico. Which machine learning model is structured as layers of nodes, mimicking the way neurons interact in the human brain? Decision tree. Neural network. Support vector machine. Correct answer. Neural network. Which dynasty ruled China during the construction of most of the Great Wall and established a centralized imperial bureaucracy? Han. Tang. Qin. Correct answer. Qin. Which desert is the largest hot desert in the world by area? Gobi. Sahara. Kalahari. Correct answer. Sahara. How many correct answers did you get? Leave us a comment with your number of correct answers.